There's something about sleeping giants that's the most interesting to me in college football. What is up, everybody? It is Jake with Master of Football back at it again. Happy Wednesday. Thank you so much for being here. If you want to be updated on all things college football, pro football, Madden, EA college football, anything related to American football, hit that red subscribe button. You will not be disappointed. Also hit the like button too. Like, share, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff, especially the subs. Almost to 1,000. Without further ado, let's get into the video. All right, guys, I made a video yesterday talking about the Texas Longhorns and how I really was excited about what they're doing. Steve Sarkisian doing well. Jonte Cook, they've got a lot of good players out there. A new freshman they got on the team. Quinn Ewers, Arch Manning, the competition there. I had also stated during that video that I felt like Arch Manning was probably going to transfer at the end of the year if he does not start this year, because there's no guarantee Quinn Ewers stays or leaves for another year. He might stay, and I don't think Arch Manning's going to sit. The number one player in the country is going to sit for 2 consecutive years. I was under the impression that he might transfer. I predicted he would probably transfer to LSU. Well, a bunch of UT fans let me know that I hate UT and something like that. It was a weird, my comments was weird on that video. So I want to make sure that I can set the record straight. I don't hate the University of Texas, okay? But I want to make sure I can talk about another topic that will throw off, whether or not I'm a fan of Texas. That other topic I want to talk about is how excited I am for Oklahoma football this next season. Okay, that also probably doesn't help very much, but I am seriously excited about Oklahoma football. There's something about sleeping giants that's the most interesting to me in college football. Again, Miami's a really interesting team. You talk about, Alabama right before they hired Nick Saban was kind of one of those teams. USC before they hired Pete Carroll's one of those teams. I really like those teams where it's like, man, if they just got that guy, they would go over there. There's a lot of teams that interest me. Nebraska's one of them too. But for right now, Oklahoma is really interesting. Oklahoma, under Lincoln Riley, really, really successful. Switch over, he leaves for USC. Brent Venables comes in. Brent Venables, first year, not is what they wanted to do, but I want to talk about them because I want to talk about last year, kind of where they're at, what they've been doing, and where they're going to be going, because I'm telling you right now, Oklahoma in 2023 excites me. Do I think they're winning the national championship? No. Do I think they're going to do better than they did last year? 100%. So looking at last season, it's really easy to see that once they got to Big 12 play, things just changed. So they played UTEP 45-13, not a question. Played Kent State 33-3, not a question. Played Nebraska at Nebraska 49-14, not a question. Out of here. 3-0, we're on top. Then they get to Big 12 play. So they go 3-6 in Big 12 play, and they lose their bowl games. So they go 3-7 down the stretch. And if you look at this here, they had a couple different problems. One of them was depth, really big issues with depth. We'll get into that fact with quarterback, other areas too. Connected to depth was the fact that they just absolutely just bled yards and points. You can see that they get to Big 12 play, 41 points given up, 55 points given up, 49 points given up, 42 points given up. Even won that game against Kansas, still gave up 42 points. Had a good day against Iowa State. Iowa State had a troubling offense. They only gave up 13 points. 38 to Baylor. Gave up 23 to West Virginia, which isn't bad, but they only scored 20. Gave up 13 against Oklahoma State. Good game there against in Bedlam. And then gave up 51 to Texas Tech, and then 35 to Florida State. You can see the fact that they absolutely just bled yards and points. Depth and defensive ability was a big issue with that. And surprised for Brent Venables, because he's known as a very, very well-respected defensive mind. But just first season, like I said, 3-0, and then 3-7 down the stretch, not what they were looking for. And part of some of those depth issues were at quarterback. So you come over here and see the fact that Dylan Gabriel in this game against TCU gets knocked out of the game. Again, Dylan Gabriel wasn't doing great, 7 for 16 for 126 yards, but you see, 2 carries for 0 yards, a long of 1. So basically he had a 1 yard gain, a 1 yard loss. But you see the fact that he had 126 yards on 16 attempts. Davis Bevel was 7 of 16 for 50 yards, an average of 3.1 yards per attempt. This 5 QBR out of 150 is average. So despite the fact that Dylan Gabriel had a bad day, Davis Bevel had a terrible day. Once Dylan Gabriel went down, game was over. We didn't know what it was going to look like. Ultimately, it looks like 55-24. And again, it was 55-17 headed into the fourth quarter. And then this game. And this game had multiple issues in it going into this. Okay, so you got a rivalry game. All right. You've got brand new coaching staff. You've got a quarterback who's out. And you've got a defense that has a tough time stopping people. That leads to whatever the heck this was. Oklahoma, it was just not what you wanted. You were 3-2 heading into this game. And then you were 3-3. Davis Bevel goes 6 for 12 for 38 yards and a pick. Michael Turk goes 1 for 1 for 3 yards. Eric Gray goes 1 for 2. And he had a pick too. Nick Evers had 0 for 1. Marcus Major was 1 for 1 for -2 yards. It was just an absolute 9 for 17, 39 yards and 2 picks on offense. There's no way you can overcome that. Also with a defense that gives up a ton of yards. I mean, it was just a recipe for disaster in that game. It ultimately ended here. So there were a couple commonalities, like we said before. Again, lack of depth. Okay, if Dylan Gabriel was out, they weren't doing anything on offense. It's just the way it was. The defense absolutely just could not stop anybody. And again, I know that people are like, oh yeah, well that's Big 12 football. No, I'm telling you, okay? Brent Venables is one of the most well-respected names in defensive football out there. He was at Clemson. That whole Clemson defense you just saw this last season, who do you think was recruiting those boys? Okay, oh no, it was Dabo Sweeney. No, I guarantee you, Brent Venables was the leader in that. He goes back to Oklahoma as a new season. A lot of those people from Oklahoma went to USC with Lincoln Riley, so he had to kind of deal with a weird spot here. I want to go to Josh Pate. Josh Pate is a very, very well-respected name with 247 Sports. He is very excited about Oklahoma for those exact reasons, and he's going to point to a couple of those good reasons why. I'm going to include a video here. I'm not going to play it because I want to copyright struck, but I want to make sure you have access to this. It'll be in the description. Here we are on this video here, 247 Sports on the Oklahoma page, and it talks about Oklahoma for showing major improvements this next season. And again, this was just the other day when it was posted, 3-9. He says they could expect to win 3+ more games this next season. This last year, they were 6-7. That would turn them into kind of a 9-4 team, maybe an 8-5, somewhere around there. That would be a 2-3, win swing. He puts the odds right here. They're plus 4,000 odds to win the CFP. Second best odds in the Big 12, surprisingly, meaning that I guarantee you, if you look at the odds there, they're probably one of the middle of the pack to win the Big 12. But if anybody's going to win the national championship from the Big 12, Oklahoma has the highest chance of doing that. It's kind of a weird, convoluted situation there. Also talks about deeper QB room, Dylan Gabriel and Jackson Arnold, who we will get into in a second here. Your boy can play. Second year for Venables as head coach, Lebby as the offensive coordinator, and Roof as the defensive coordinator. And then this next section is very, very important. Number 4 ranked recruiting class and number 8 ranked portal class. I said before, they had issues on depth. They will not have issues. They won't have as many issues on depth this next season because they brought in some dogs. So like we said before, number 4 overall ranking here, number 8 transfer ranking. You come down and check this out. Jackson Arnold, number 2 player in the state of Texas, number 4 player in quarterback overall. You see double A. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to try to attempt that last name. I just want to make sure I'm respectful there. Number 2 edge rusher in the country, number 1 player in the state of Missouri. We see Peyton Brown, number 2 safety. Makari Vickers, number 6 safety. We see Caden Green, number 10 offensive tackle. We come down here. There's a couple more as well. We see Kende Dolby, number 2 corner in the country. We also see Samuel Osamigo. I hope I said that right. Number 4 linebacker in the country. We see that the number 13 corner in the country, Jacob Johnson. So there's a lot of guys coming in here. Number 13 linebacker in the country, Lewis Carter. Like I said, talent is not going to be an issue this next season. They've got plenty of guys coming in. In addition to this right here is just a list of all of the guys who are commits. We come down here to the transfer portal, and it gets a lot better here. So like I said, I like Walter Rouse, offensive tackle from Stanford. He comes over too. But then check this out, okay? We got 6'2", 290 defensive lineman from Texas State coming on over. Rondell Bothroyd, a 6'3", 270-pound defensive lineman, could be edge rusher, could be inside from Wake Forest. He comes over. We got 6'5", 315 at guard from Miami, Ohio. He comes over. We've got 6'3", 227 at defensive line from Oklahoma State. He comes over. I guarantee he's probably an edge rusher in that instance. We got a safety from Texas Tech. We have a 4-star high school recruit, again, one of the top 10 guys in the country at his position last year at linebacker, 6'5", 225 from Indiana. He comes over. We also got a 4-star guy from high school from Notre Dame, 6'2", 285 defensive lineman. He comes over. So there's depth is not going to be nearly as much of an issue this next season. They've got plenty of guys. They got transfers. They got recruits. They got a lot of guys coming in. A big turnaround. And again, a 3-win swing is not unheard of. Like I said, they go 6-7. They could go 9-4. That's not unrealistic. And when you see the schedule here, it does line up. They have that ability. However, they're going to have to win some Big 12 games. They went 3-6 last year in the Big 12 and 0-1 in their bowl games. They were 3-7 down the stretch. Not good. They start the same way. They have 3 consecutive non-conference opponents. They have Arkansas State at home, SMU at home, not going to be easy. And then at Tulsa, the rare Power 5 to G5 visitation, very rare. And then they start Big 12 play. And again, so you have to remember here is the Big 12, Brett Yormark's got the Oklahoma's on the way out. So he wants to make sure all those new guys that are coming, Houston, UCF, Cincinnati, and BYU, as many of those games as they can play as possible. They visit Cincinnati, they host UCF, and they visit BYU. So they got to go out there and play them. So at Cincinnati, that place is going to be hyped. It's probably their first Big 12 game ever. It's Oklahoma's coming to town. It's going to be a serious thing. Nippert Stadium is going to be off the chain. Yeah, Iowa State, we'll see if they fix their offense by then. Texas is going to be ready for this game. 49-0 this last year. Remember that, guys? Then you got UCF is going to go visit there. You have to go to Kansas. And again, Kansas was Lance Leipold. They were much more difficult last year than they were before. Then you have the last game ever at Oklahoma State, the last game projected for Bedlam. I'm super upset that it's like that, but it is what it is. You know, host West Virginia at BYU, and then your very last Big 12 game, that's for sure, is home against TCU. That will be I don't know how emotional it will be for Oklahoma fans because they're going to the SEC, but it is going to be a big game out there. That's what the schedule looks like. 9-4, I don't know if I see it there. You have to see 4 losses. I mean, Texas is always going to be a tough game out there. At Oklahoma State, you can never really predict that. At Cincinnati and at BYU, one of those games is going to be a lot tougher than you imagine it to be. 9-4 is not unrealistic. That's assuming they're winning their bowl game or losing, going 9-3 and losing their bowl game, whatever that is. It's a possibility. I would not be surprised if they did that. Am I going to bet on it? No. But Oklahoma, man, I'm telling you, defensive depth has been addressed. Quarterback depth has been addressed. I like what they're doing this next season. Like I said, you saw those dudes that they got. They got as many pass rushers, interior, exterior, linebackers, safeties, corners. They literally brought in, dudes, top 5 dudes at almost every position. They've got tons of dudes coming off the edge, tons of dudes in the middle. They've got size, they got speed, they got strength, they got ability. They got so many things going for them that they didn't have last season. They let's just say they were a little top heavy. Dylan Gabriel also has a quarterback, Jackson Arnold. He's going to be sitting behind him. Dylan Gabriel goes down. Dylan Gabriel's kind of a gunslinger, formerly from UCF. He goes out there, he plays, plays fast and loose. So if he goes down, you got a really good quarterback coming in. I like what they're doing, man. Can they turn it around? Remember 6-7 last season? I'm telling you, if any team can, sleeping giants like Oklahoma, I know they were only asleep. They took a quick cat nap, okay? 2021, they were good. Last year was a little bit off. Wouldn't be surprised if they woke up big in 2023. All right, guys, that's it. Thank you so much for being here. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Do all that stuff. I appreciate it. That's it for me, guys. I'll see you guys later. I am out.